Hello, everyone. As you're getting situated and getting clicked in and getting focused, we're so pleased to see everybody here. We know it's a beautiful night outside and school is coming to an end and you guys are all very busy. And we really appreciate you coming in and spending a little time with us so we can talk about Youth Grant Initiative. So we're going to give everybody just another moment or two to get signed on and to get situated. And then we'll jump in and get started. So give everybody just a minute to get in. And as you all are getting situated and getting connected, you will notice when you came in that we are recording this. And that is because we do have, we have two people that families started their summer vacations today. So it was just not possible for them to get here and be there at the same time. So we are recording this, but only for the purposes of a couple YGI members that want to be able to hear this and be able to kind of understand the experience they're walking into. All right, well, you are more than welcome to, as the slide here says, to put anything in chat as far as conversations, as far as questions, anything that you might have, you are more than welcome to put it in chat as we get going. We're going to supply just some information for you, and then we're going to make sure that there's plenty of room for questions and answers or Q&A at the end because we want this to be a great experience for you. We are super excited to invite all of you to join the Youth Grant Initiative cohort this fall. But we also want to make sure that it's a team and an activity that you can commit to and that you are ready to jump into it when it comes to the September. And all of a sudden summer's over and we're going back to school. So I think we have almost everybody connected in. So let me start with just some brief introductions to begin with. I am fortunate that I got to meet each and every one of you during the interviews, as did Emily. But my name is Lisa, and I'm the Executive Director of the Multnomah Athletic Foundation. And my partner at the foundation is Emily. And Emily was the one that you met at registration. And Emily is also an individual besides me that will be sending you emails, contacts, and answering any questions. We are actually the only two employees at the Multnomah Athletic Foundation. So we are an organization that runs, shall we say, with a small number of very dedicated people. And what makes all of that happen is our board and our committees and groups like you, because you guys help us make a difference in the community. You help us figure out what youth organizations that we think are doing an amazing job increasing access for kids to have the ability to participate in athletics and get an education. And you are going to help make that possible. So we are just thrilled to invite you guys to be part of Youth Grant Initiative. This is its 7th year. So some of you I know people that have participated in the past. Some of you know team members and even brothers and sisters that have participated in the past. So we're really pleased to have you here. So you will also find that we're going to show you some information. We're going to share some things with you. There is no reason to write any of this stuff down. We're going to be sending you a letter in the mail tomorrow or in the next couple of days, and it will have all of this information, all of the data, all the dates. It'll also have a list of the names of all of the folks that have been invited to join YGI. Now, the reason we didn't send that out first is we wanted to make sure we had a chance for you guys to ask questions because this is a team activity. And I think I said that in the email, that you're joining a team and it's a very collaborative process, which means it requires every single person on the team to be present and accounted for in each session. And if somebody misses a session or two, we end up missing a team member. And whether you play basketball, soccer, swimming, climbing, whatever your sport happens to be, you know that when a team member is missing, it's not quite right. It causes everything else to kind of be out of balance a little bit. So we wanted to make sure that you and your parents understood that this activity requires a commitment to the 6 dates and the times that we've given you. Now, we get that emergencies happen. We get that life happens occasionally, and that means that sometimes you need to miss a session or come late or leave a little early. But we want you guys to look at the dates and talk about them with your parents, because if you're going to miss half of these dates, then respectfully, you're not the right team member for this fall. Then maybe we need to wait until next year because we need to make sure that everybody is committed for the 6 dates, because everything feeds on top of one another until the ultimate piece is the decision of how to award $5,000. So if you don't do all the other things leading up to it, it's kind of hard to be part of that conversation and really have the full experience at your fingertips. So that's what we're here to do. We're just here to give you some information, show you some dates, show you some things, answer some questions, then let you and your parents talk about it. And then, as I said in the email, we need to have an answer sometime by next Tuesday before you get too far into your summer plans. Next Tuesday that says, yes, I'm in, or you know what, I'm going to pass this year because it just doesn't quite fit. So that's ultimately, we want to answer enough questions and give you enough information that you can make that decision. So far, so good? Okay, that requires audience participation, heads nodding, thumbs up, something. Okay, better. All right, fantastic. Okay, well, to answer a couple questions right off the top, how many people did we invite to join YGI? Only 11. So we invited 11 people. You guys are all part of that, but we invited 11 people to join YGI. And that is a little typical. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less, but we decided that of all the interviews that we did, that you 11 would be absolutely fantastic as part of members of this cohort. And part of that is you're going to find you've got lots of different lived experiences. You're in lots of different sports, lots of different schools, lots of different activities outside of school. And that is part of the absolutely beautiful stuff that makes YGI happen, because each one of you is going to bring your own opinions, your own family structures, your own backgrounds, your own experiences, and you're going to bring all of that into YGI, which is how we focus on including lots of voices to make better decisions. So we're thrilled that you're all part of it, and there's only 11. So that's why we need to know if you're in or if you're out with this team experience, because if it's going to be a team of 11, we'll plan for that. If it's going to be a team of 8, we'll plan for that, or whatever the case happens to be. Okay, so with that, let's see. I have a question down at the bottom. Nope, not yet. Okay, awesome. Well, let's start with this. Let's start right off the cuff with just what's the point, right? You probably read the brochure, you saw some things, you looked at the information, you applied, which means you were interested in some case. The whole point of all this is have a super cool experience that's hands-on activity around philanthropy. So it's about being involved in your community and, quite frankly, working on making it a better place, of using the privilege and the resources and the funding and all the things that we have in our lives to make the world an easier, better, and more inclusive place for other people. How do we give kids in our community the ability to have access to sports and education that perhaps they would not be able to without the help of these grants and these nonprofits and without the help of all of you? So that bottom line is the reason why we're here. Now, here's the other thing. You guys are going to make the decision. The foundation is putting $5,000 in your hands. And at the end of this whole experience, you are looking at the actual live applications from the nonprofits in the Tri-County area, the same applications that the adult teams look at. And you guys are going to narrow it down and fund either 1, 2, or 5 organizations with that $5,000. And then you're going to make a recommendation to the board of directors, and they're going to write some checks. That's how it works. Make sense? Yeah. I'm going to let you know right now, it's a super cool experience. It's a lot of fun. You're going to learn a ton. And the decision is not easy. You're going to learn about some nonprofits you've never heard about. You're going to learn about some that are all doing amazing, required, vital work in our community. And it's going to be a tough decision because you are not going to have enough money. And you're going to want to fund all of them. And that doesn't work that way. So this is about using a limited amount of resources and to apply it in the best way that you as a group collectively agree on. Will you guys all agree? At the end, yes, but in between, no. So we're going to work really hard at how do you respectfully disagree. Have you guys ever had somebody in class that you disagree with? Yeah, and they're really opinionated? Yeah. All right. Well, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about how do you get opinionated, passionate people in a room together, make sure everybody has a chance to be heard, and then ultimately make a decision that everybody can agree on and live with and be proud of. So it's kind of funny, some of you parents that are listening, y'all wish you're going to be part of this too, because that's a really important skill set. Is how do you do that, and how do you talk to people that you disagree with and that you're really passionate about your opinion? So anyway, that's where we're going and how we're going to get there. Any questions so far? No, not yet. Okay. Well, we're going to show a quick video. This video was actually created, this is the cool part, by a club member who was so excited about the work that we do at the foundation. And he's a full-length filmmaker. And he volunteered to do some new videos for us this fall. So we decided one of the videos had to be about Youth Grant Initiative. And it actually focuses on two YGI alumni. So you never know if you might be in the next video. All right, Emily, do you want to share it? So this will give you a kind of a big picture if you haven't already seen it, and then we'll talk about some details.
Multnomah Athletic Foundation.
The Youth Grant Initiative is for students either going into 7th or 8th grade.
I don't know of anyone else that's getting kids involved in philanthropic work at a young age.
I was with a group of 10 to 15 kids who decided on an athletic nonprofit who we would be gifting a $5,000 grant to.
So we've been funded by their kids in the program that they have, and that's great because they're giving kids an opportunity to see what's going on with nonprofits and how they work.
It was just an amazing process. I learned so much, and it's just an experience I won't forget.
I loved how I was treated like an adult at such a young age. It was really refreshing just knowing like these adults were there to support you. Feeling that way made me feel really empowered, and I was able to bring that into my life afterwards.
Multnomah Athletic Foundation.
Well, there you go. You happen to see lots of alumni in that. In fact, one of the pictures was part of something new last year called the YGI Alumni Program. So we have started a new program. It's only in its second year this fall, and you will see their cohort and your cohort kind of coming together. And it's folks who have been in one of the 5 or 6 YGIs up to this point. And what they do is they look at the back end of the grant process. You guys are looking at the applications, how we decide who to give money to. What they're looking at is, okay, we gave them money. What did they do with it? How did that go? Who did what they said they were going to and who didn't maybe, and how come? So they're dealing with the back end of it. So that is something that we just want you to be aware of, because you're going to see the YGI alumni group and your group kind of intersect throughout this experience, which is kind of neat. All right. So Emily's going to show you a PowerPoint presentation here for a second, because we want to show you guys some dates and some content. Now, again, don't need to write any of this stuff down. We're going to get this in the mail. So what we want you to have kind of a context. We've sent you the dates in the email, you and your parents, but we wanted you to see what's going to kind of happen in each one of these. So the very first session is after school starts, kind of once you get situated in school and you get done with the Labor Day holiday weekend. So we meet on Sundays. So each one of the Sundays that we meet from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And what that's going to do is hopefully make things, you can get done with school. We're not trying to compete with sports and activities during the week. And Sunday late afternoon, but before dinner, we'll get together at 3 to 5. So the first session is going to focus on the big picture, like nonprofits and in the community. How did that all work? How is the government involved? How are businesses involved? How are the nonprofits involved? And how does all of that kind of come together? And that's also the session that we will have a separate parent orientation. So that's where one of your parents, or both of them, or all 4 of them, and your guardians come together, and we talk a little bit about the program to make sure that they can support you and that they know where you need to be when, and let them ask questions. So you guys are probably also already noticed and read that we're going to send the emails directly to you, but we always CC your parents and your guardians, just because we need to make sure everybody's kept in the loop. But you will find that we're going to talk to you guys directly, because you're the decision makers in this process and you're the ones that are part of the cohort. But we will have a parent orientation on that one. So that will be the only time your parents will engage actually in the space with you until they show up to watch you on the 15th do the presentation and later in November. So on the second session, which is October 1st, we will come together and we'll talk all about some different skills in leadership. Now, what's really cool about that conversation is every one of these sessions, we will have other speakers come in and join us. So we'll have guest speakers and presenters, people that hopefully you will find really interesting and engaging and have a wealth of different backgrounds. So the skills in leadership, it's also important to recognize that not all leaders are extroverts. I'll be the first to admit I'm a noisy extrovert. Yep, I'm a public speaker by trade. That's who I am. That's what I do. But not everybody leads that way. Some of you are going to lead from a quieter space. Some of you are going to lead in a very thoughtful space where you need a little time to think, and then you're going to give us your opinion. Some of you, like me, are going to have to learn that sometimes you need to stop talking to be a good leader because you need to open up space for other people to be able to share. So we're going to talk about a ton of different leadership skills, listening and talking, as well as facilitating, asking good questions, all those sorts of things. We will then move on to session 3, which is about making an informed decision and how to balance opinions. That is going to employ a couple of decision-making strategies called dot voting and fists of 5. And it's a way for us to help us make good informed decisions and gather everybody's opinion, but then to be able to weigh those opinions as we kind of go through things. As you can see, there's kind of a theme here. It's giving you all the skill sets you're going to need because on the 4th session on the 22nd of October, we're going to talk about the guidelines of the Multnomah Athletic Foundation, the initiatives of how we fund money and where we fund money. And then what we're actually going to do is do a couple case studies of previous grant applications, because we want you guys to understand you're going to look at a grant application that a nonprofit has spent a lot of time and care putting together because they really need the money to be able to provide their services in the community. How are you going to read that case study? How do you evaluate it? How do you look at the financials? Why is this stuff important and what are they telling you? It's kind of like learning, in essence, learning how to run a new offensive play in whatever your sport is, or learning how to perfect a new stroke. You have to know what the fundamentals and what the skills are so you can put them together to actually execute something. So we're going to talk about guidelines and initiatives and being a decision maker for a nonprofit and show you some case studies. Then we give you some serious homework. So in between October 22nd and November 5th, you've got some homework. In that point in time, we will give each and every one of you access to an online application portal that every one of the grant partners has used to provide application data for you. But the cool thing is it eliminates paper, which is fantastic. The good thing is you can do it a little bit now, a little bit later. So during the 22nd and 5th, you're going to need to take a look at creating a little bit of a homework plan for yourself. And that's where your mom and dad and your guardians can help of what's going on in that time. And can you make sure that you can allot time to be able to read the application? So what happens on the 5th? We actually come together and make a decision. It is not an easy process, but I think you'll find it's really cool. It's the same process that the adult team goes through. You go through exactly the same steps with exactly the same, shall we say, decision-making techniques to get through it. And then we come up to a recommendation, and then we talk a little bit about how are you going to present it to the board and to the parents and to the nonprofits. So now, Emily, it says Thursday the 15th. Isn't that Wednesday? You double check that on your calendar for me. But between the 5th and the 15th, what we're going to do is work together on Zoom with your presentation partners, and everybody has a part of the presentation. Everybody goes through the process and has something to say. Now, it's good. Don't worry. If you're not a public speaker, it's not a big deal. You can use notes. You work as a team, and you get to select which part of the pieces you want to actually go through. So we will do some prep time between the 5th of November and the 15th. The 15th is a Wednesday. And what we will do on that Wednesday is come together and it's usually, we're going to do late afternoon right before dinner. And you're going to do a presentation to the board of the Multnomah Athletic Foundation. We're going to have a cool celebration. We're going to have the nonprofits there that you're giving money to so we can do giant check presentations and take some pictures. And then we will also be live streaming the actual presentation. So if you have friends, families, grandmas, grandpas, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters in other places, and you want to share that cool experience with them and have them see what you've been up to all fall, that will be an option. So they can have kind of a shall we say, a viewing party all about you. So those are the dates. As you'll notice, there's 6 of them. That's what we're asking you to be part of the team, is for those 6 dates and those 6 times. So what questions do y'all have? This is kind of like me asking you in your interview, what's one more thing I should know about you? Asking questions is always a good thing. I'm gonna let you sit with it for a second. Moms and dads and our guardians out there, you guys can ask questions too. You can also take yourself off mute and just tell me the question or ask it if you don't want to raise your hand or don't want to type at this late juncture in the day. Nobody? I'm not that good. I don't cover everything. Let's see. Who's got a question?
I have a question.
Yes, please. Who am I talking to?
Kickoff.
Fantastic. Hello.
So when we saw the video, it showed that previous like sessions of these were in person. Are we doing this all over online?
No. Actually, these are almost all in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, just this call is on Zoom. Just because we wanted to catch everybody at the end of school, before your summer started. But no, each one of the sessions is in Zoom. And that will be on the information we'll send you in the mail as well. There is one session that we will have a panel that will join us via Zoom, because we invite some really cool people to join us, and they don't all live in Portland. So the power of Zoom allows us to bring people together that way. Now, the last session you saw when I said on the 15th is live streamed, that one is just so that if you have people that want to watch you via Zoom and live stream for the presentation, that you can. What other questions do you have? Yes, Sophie.
Each year, do we have to pick new charities, or can we pick the ones that have been successful and done good things with the money in previous years, and we can choose those charities this year?
That's a great question. Some of the nonprofits will be applying again this year. So we actually have 2 different times of the year they can ask for money. We just finished one April 1st, and you guys are looking for the people who apply September 1st. So some of these folks will apply again because they applied last year. So you will see some of the same nonprofits, and quite frankly, it's totally okay to fund someone we have funded in the past. I know some funders in the city have limitations on that, but we believe that if they're doing great work, they can continue to do great work, and we can continue to fund them. Okay, so absolutely. Yeah. What other questions do you have?
This isn't really a question for like what's going to happen, but like this session, but could we possibly enter the alumni program after we're done with this?
Next spring you can, yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. In fact, we have some folks that were in it last year that are applying, and we have some folks that were in it 3 or 4 years ago that are applying. Last year in the first year, we had 5 alumni from 4 different cohorts. So they didn't know each other either, even though they were alumni of YGI. So absolutely. We always make the comment that you can only do this session once. But the alumni session, we're actually to the point where if somebody wants to do that one twice, they might be able to. But the priority will always go to people who want to do it the first time. Yep. But
where does the $5,000 come from?
Dynamite question. The $5,000 actually comes from the fundraising that we, the foundation, do on an ongoing basis. So we raise money in 4 different ways. One, we do something at the club for Multnomah Athletic Club members. It's called the annual fund drive. and it happens once a year, where it's kind of like crowdfunding. You know how when everybody would go to Venmo or what have you and give 25 bucks, and then the organization takes all of those 25 bucks together and they have this pile of money to work with? That's what we do once a year. So that is one of our major fundraisers, is the annual fund drive. It's a $25 gift from every one of the member accounts. We also do a fundraiser called the Spin-a-thon, which happens in March, where we have a really cool spin session, and then we also have an auction and lots of fun things that go with it. And then we do fundraising throughout the year as well. So we take all of those things together, and one of the things we think is super important is giving you guys a $5,000 unrestricted gift so that you can award it within the arm of our community grant funding. Now, if you guys want to take the next step and raise money on your own, you certainly can do that too. A couple of years ago, we had a YGI person that was so excited about one of the nonprofits that they funded, but she didn't think they got enough money. They got half of the award. They only got 2,500 bucks. So she actually raised money on her own and raised about $6,000, and it all went to that particular nonprofit. In fact, she keeps being involved with that nonprofit. It's turned to a really cool thing, and now she's going on to college. So it's turned into a cool experience for her, and it's actually kind of influenced what she wants to study in college. So that's not required. But we know that obviously having money and fundraising so we can give it away is an important part of the process, but it's not specifically part of YGI. We don't ask that you raise money. You don't have to have money to give. What we need is your talent and your time and your passion to make this community a better place. That's what we're asking you to give us in this one. What other questions you guys have?
So you said we will be there will be groups. How many groups will my bad. How many groups will there be, and will the money be split between them?
Good question. Quite frankly, I don't know how many groups there are going to be yet. That depends on who applies for the nonprofits. Last year, I believe the group had to look at 14 applications. You looked at a subset of what comes in. Right now, our adult team had to go through 26 applications. That's a lot of homework. In the fall, we have a whole lot less. So last year, the group, I think it was 13 or 14 applications. And one of the major decisions you have to make is, after you've read all 14, we go through this process that helps you make some decisions as a group. And then you have to decide if you're giving all the money to one organization, splitting it between two, or splitting it between 5. So that's in itself an important decision. And then once you make that, then you can figure out which 1, 2, or 5 you're going to give money to.
If we split between more than one, can we give 3,000 to one and 2,000 to another, or does it have to be equal?
That's a good question. We actually make it equal, 2,500 to each, just because we only have 5 sessions for you guys to make decisions in. And if we start mixing it with all those dollar amounts, it just takes that much more time. So we've decided to make the important part is 1 to 2 to 5. And then we just make the dollar amounts easy so we can make the decision and then move on. But that's a great question. The adult team actually has a whole lot more variability in there because they actually have 50 grand to deal with. Now, here's the good thing. Just because you guys choose 1, 2, or 5, the adult team has more money to play with, so they might actually be funding some of the folks that you're not. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that you're not going to have to say no to everybody, because the adult team will be saying yes to some and you're saying yes to some. So hopefully together that makes for a better decision.
Can we coordinate with the adult team to decide if we have 6 charities we donate to, but we decide that we want to donate 1,000 to each, but there's one left? Can we write a letter to the adult team asking them to try and donate to the other charity?
That's a dynamite idea. Sure. If you guys decide that that's an advocacy role you want to take, absolutely. Because what the adult team will do is they make their decision and then they pause to see what your decision is going to be. And your decision is given to them on the 15th when we do the actual, the presentation. The grown-up team then meets the very next day before our board meeting on November 20th. So if you guys want to write a letter and advocate for a certain organization, I bet they'd love to hear that in your presentation and see the letter. You bet. What other questions do y'all have? Moms and dads and guardians out there, you guys can ask them questions too. Fantastic. All right, Brian's asked a question. Brian is one of our committee members that helped run the Youth Grant Initiative. In fact, he's a board member with the foundation, and he's the chair of Youth Grant Initiative, and he actually is one of the folks that will be facilitating the alumni group. Can I share a little bit about the leaders that have been in the past part of session 2? Not sure I understand the question. Emily, do you get it? What am I missing?
Yeah, so can you talk about the panel that we have in the session? And we've had some recurring people come and do that panel with us. And what is that like?
Thank you. Okay, I knew I was missing something. Okay, the panel. So the panel in the leadership piece is really meant to be people who have gone through athletics in their life, whether it's in high school, college, or professional, but they've actually have been athletes in some capacity, kind of like you guys. And the important thing is, what did they learn through athletics? You know, quite frankly, we don't really care what sport you're involved in because we think all sports are pretty awesome. And it's what you learn through the sports, like being on a team and time management and winning and losing and all the things that go along with that, and how to be coachable. All of those things are important because they translate not only from athletics, but they translate to school, and then they translate to the workplace. So the panel actually asked them about the things about leadership that they learned through sports and what they now do for a living. So let's see, one of the panelists that we've had come back a couple of years, and we'll cross our fingers and hope she'll join us, is Marianne Doherty, who actually was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team, played for the first year of the Thorns, and now works for Nike in a capacity as a manager in footwear. So that's one person. Last year, we also had Hakeem Jones, who was a baseball player in college, and he also, ironically, happens to work for Nike, but he learned an awful lot through going to a small school and then switching to a different school to find the passion of what he wanted to do. Let's see, who else am I missing on that particular panel? Those are some examples. But we always bring in new people. Like I said, their sport really doesn't matter. One year we actually had somebody who had been a Max Scholar athlete, who is a scholarship recipient of the foundation, that went to a Beaverton High School and now is at USC and is training for the Olympics in swimming. Breaststroke is her sport. So there's lots of interesting people at the foundation that we bring into these conversations. So we will come up with some fabulous people for you guys to interact with. Thank you for the question, Brian, and Emily for translating. I appreciate it. We have 6 really cool sessions, and sometimes I lose track about what we're doing. All right, what other questions might you have? Okay. All right. Well, as I said, this was meant to be, yes, go ahead.
Well,
yeah.
When we do the presentation, is it just going to be talking, or are we going to have like a visual that we make?
We do a little bit of both. Most of it is talking. What we do is we do have a basic PowerPoint slide that just kind of is the transitions in between what you do. Like, here's section 1, and then we let you guys talk, and then here's section 2. Part of the presentation, you guys will decide who the moderator or the MC is going to be. And then we have people do some content at the beginning, and then we have some of you actually talk about the nonprofits and the recommendation. So it's a very specific framework, and then what we decide is you guys get to help decide what we do in between. But it's all up to you. If you decide I am totally not an MC, I don't want to have anything to do with that, then you just don't volunteer, and that's okay. But some of you might really want to do that. And if we end up with a couple of you, we will have to arm wrestle or something. No, I'm teasing. We won't arm wrestle.
I do want
yes,
to
Emily.
That's clear though. So we provide a PowerPoint that just has the headlines for it. You guys are presenting just verbally with notes. So we won't be creating different slides or whatnot for the presentation. You guys get up in front of everyone. You can have your notes in front of you. Again, like Lisa said, we aren't making you memorize the presentation here, but you will stand up, and the PowerPoint behind you is one that we'll put together that just supports the content.
We have a tendency to focus on what you have to offer. We don't necessarily need to have a lot of razzle dazzle in the background. And it's relatively short and sweet. I think the whole presentation is 20, 25 minutes, so it's not terribly long. And then what we do is we pause and we let your families applaud wildly, and we let the nonprofits meet you and take some pictures, and then we celebrate because it's a great experience, and we want you guys to enjoy it. All right. Other questions? All right. Well, we are here if you have them. You have my email, you have Emily's. They're on everything that we send you. Our phone numbers and cell phone numbers are down there too, because if text works better for you, you are more than welcome to shoot us a text. That is a perfectly acceptable means of communication. So we are going to, what we need from all of you is we want you to take a breath. We want you to talk to your parents and guardians. And if you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally in, then I just need an email from you that says that. I'm in, and then I'll shoot you the letter. If you really look at it and you go, it sounds really cool, but wow, that sounds like more Sundays than I have to give, that's an okay thing too. So talk to your parents and guardians, and if it just sounds like a little too much, okay, we appreciate that. We understand, and we want you to make a decision clearly and enthusiastically, but the right one for you and your family. All right. Well, we will stay here and answer any questions that you have, but we also want to be mindful of your time. I know, how many of you still have school left? And how many of you are done? Yay! All right. Cool. All righty. Well, for those of you that aren't done yet, hang in there. You're getting close. Somebody has school until almost the 27th. Is that anybody in this particular group? Who was that? That somebody told me that they went to school. Daphne, is that you? No? Okay. Ian. That's Ian. Okay. I knew. Is it the 26th, 27th, something like that?
Yeah, the 28th.
28th. I knew there was somebody that had a late date. Anyway, so we'll hang in there. Okay. Well, have a wonderful evening, everybody. And just shoot me an email with a yes, I'd love to do this, or yeah, no, it's not going to work, just so that we know. We will be sending you a couple letters throughout the summer with some interesting reading, and one email with maybe a cool video to watch. Nothing mission critical, nothing that's going to take you hours to do. Just fun stuff to be thinking about the role that you're going to step into as a grant maker this fall. So thank you. And you know where to find us if you have questions. Other than that, have a fantastic evening and happy summer.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.